moment.
There it is. We're live. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our 7-day chakra cleanse. Can you all believe that it's already day 5? Day 5. So it's just interesting. So today it's going to be all about the throat chakra and communication through the throat chakra. And so just a little good morning to everyone. Just a little quick recap of why this is occurring. I'm Rebecca and my husband JB, and together we're dual dragons. And I got this strong calling not too long ago, from my guides, that I needed to do this. I needed to bring all the healers together and really go through a series of, this one's a chakra cleanse. The next one I'll be announcing soon what it's about in November. And in December, there'll be another one, 7 days also. And just a real need to prepare, just like the knights of the round table that they came to master a plan on how to protect. I brought the healers round table as a way for us to come together and prepare ourselves for the transformations that are to come. And so that's the whole purpose of this group, and the purpose of first the 7-day chakra cleanse. And so a little bit, I'm trying to think, make sure I stay on schedule. A little bit about us. JB and I, we are, let me go to that page. We are holistic wellness consultants, also known as the Muscle Whisperers. And so our purpose is, as healers, is we help people manage or get results, finally to release whatever blockages, release pain within their body, whether it be physical, whether it be emotional, whether it be through trauma, whether it be energy crisis through their chakras. So that's what we specialize in, and that's how we help people. And during this coronavirus, we were all isolated in our homes, and I felt really sad because we couldn't touch our clients, we couldn't reach out to them. And during this 7-day chakra cleanse, I came to realize that as healers, there's been several messages already throughout the days on how we need to not only find the source within ourselves, but also teach every person on this world that they are healers too. And they could also be their own pillar, just as we will be pillars for ourselves, for our community, for others, for family. So that's been the one important message that I've been getting throughout the 7-day series. And so that's what I wanted to share so far. And again, this is about the throat chakra. And soon we will be starting. I just want to give everyone a time to be able to jump on. So we are doing the throat chakra. The beautiful blue color and peace. I like what it says. If it's balanced, it's peaceful, trustful, listening, good communication, strong, self-expression, and peaceful again. So but what I've been hearing lately is fear of speaking, unable to listen. The thyroid, so many people with thyroid issues. I have a lot of clients with thyroid issues. Hearing. So it's just really interesting seeing the unbalanced part of the throat chakra and seeing the similarities of what's going on right now. I find that interesting. And so I really want to emphasize the throat chakra today. And so with that, it's 7:05. We're going to go ahead and start our session. I want everyone to take 3 nice deep belly breaths.
All right, let's do this together as you take a nice deep breath through your nose and out through your mouth. Second one, we're going to hold for a little bit. In through your nose. Hold it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out through your mouth. One more deep breath. Now just breathe at your normal pace as we endure this beautiful throat chakra sound from this healing bowl.
So I want you all to imagine this beautiful blue, we usually say indigo blue, so it's a very dark, but I always love to add a little crystals to it, to clear it, to give it that opening, to just kind of make it flow clockwise and just let it turn. And that with each sound, with each breath, make it grow. And with each breath, release whatever doesn't feel right in that area. Clear it through your breath. Blow it out. Let it go. I want everyone now to take another 3 deep belly breaths. And as you're taking those 3 breaths, slowly come back. So as we see again, our throat chakra, it's all about communication and how we express our self-expression, mainly how we express ourselves. And I really want to talk about communication. Are we being clear on what we are saying to ourselves and to others? And like I said, with clients, JB and I, and with myself also, we've come across a lot of clients with a lot of throat issues. And even when we're working on the throat, think of the throat as this freeway system where all the freeways intersect and they're just whizzing by. And the way I explain it to my clients, when you lose control of the traffic that's going through there, it tightens up, it's in pain. So many people have neck issues, neck pain, and it goes down to their shoulders, then down to their arms, chest. And one specific case, I had been working on a client, and every time it just never got better. And I just became really, really worried because I knew something was wrong. Something didn't feel right. And she's this beautiful communicator. But it was just interesting as we started peeling away layers, how for the longest time she never felt she was heard, and how our past sometimes stays in that area. And there is a lot of evidence how muscle has muscle memory, and how it just holds all those triggers and memory in specific muscles if there's been trauma. And so it was just really interesting finally being able to myself clearly tell her, I think this is out of my scope now. I need you to go see a specialist because something doesn't feel right. And it turned out that it was her thyroid was really, really bad, to the point where if I had not said that, and if she had not gone, there would have been a lot of complications for her. And I was really glad that I followed that sixth sense that we all have when we have to say something, even when it's kind of hard for us to say, like, oh, I don't want my client to think I can't help them, or I don't want my client to think I'm capable. But I had to throw that ego out of the way and really be like, I need you to see someone else. I need you to take care of this because this is about you. It's not about me. And so with that, my client actually, when the next time she came back, she was very thankful. She said, I'm really glad I listened to you. I'm really glad I'm taking care of this. And since that day on, things just improved and got better. So that's where I saw the importance of making sure to always be clear on communication, even though your personal feelings may come up, release them, let them go, and make sure to express what needs to be expressed. What needs to be expressed. Because there's always also a time, and there's times when we're not. It's just meant for us. And so, JB, do you want to add anything to that one?
Definitely. After this, would you share the story of the other client that she got the message, but she didn't listen? And it wasn't until her daughter heard it.
Oh, yes. Do you want me to share that real quick?
Yes.
Another interesting case. So I had another client also got a sixth sense, and something was off. And I told her, I need you to see your doctor, or who do you see soon? And she goes, oh, my heart specialist. And the minute she said heart, I had already felt it. It was her heart. And I'm like, your ankles, I'm feeling it in your ankles. And the ankles is a symptom of the heart. When they swell, they had always been kind of swollen, but this time there was just a weird swelling about them. And so I felt it. And I'm like, I need you to see your heart doctor now. And she goes, oh, but the appointment's Monday. It was a Thursday. The appointment's Monday. I'm like, no, I need you to see your doctor now. Okay, okay. Left, didn't listen. Friday, her daughter called her because her daughter also picked up that something was wrong with her mom. And as they were talking during the conversation, her daughter was like, are you sure, mom, I think you should see the doctor. She goes, that's funny that you say that because my massage therapist also said the same thing, that I really need to see my doctor. So the minute her daughter said that specific phrase that I had said also, she just kind of like thought it was interesting how now her daughter was saying the same thing. And the minute her daughter heard that, on her cell phone, she was texting her husband, get over there now and pick up my mom and take her to the hospital. And she's just conversing with her mother because she knew if she said, I'm going to go pick you up, she was going to find a way to get out of it. And as they're talking, all of a sudden, her son-in-law shows up. We're taking you to the hospital, Mom. Oh, you guys are making such a fuss about it. They show up Friday night. Saturday, she's having major heart surgery. She needed 4 stents to be placed, or else she would have had a massive heart attack. And it was just like that. It was just that quick. And she came back and she's like, I learned my lesson. I need to listen. She goes, if it wasn't for you and my daughter, I would have not been here. And so it, again, is hearing the messages and also communicating them clearly. So
also referring to not to doubt, trusting yourself when you speak clearly, that the client or your friend or family may not be receiving that message they might be receiving the message because for whatever reason they're not hearing it from you, where that seed was planted, like we talked about before. The seed was planted and the person's not ready to make it blossom. It was until the daughter reheard the message and took action. And of course, thankfully, we're able to get her to the hospital in time before anything got worse. And this is just kind of reminding me, as me and Rebecca, we have deep conversations daily, and it's really growing up. We both had different journeys about being challenged, especially in our speaking or communicating, where my path was always suppression. And whether it was a family member or being trained in the military to shut up and listen and just do what you're told. And of course, going throughout life and having different, say, supervisors or bosses having a similar mentality. Looking back at it now, reflecting as we're going through this chakra cleanse, you have an option to choose. And at those times, I kept on choosing what was not healthy for me, and my throat chakra kept on getting smaller or tighter. And I was always having neck challenges. And sometimes when I speak, even though I'm very confident in myself and I know what I'm speaking about, there's that aspect of my chakra or previous programming or challenge that it felt so constrained that it does come out weak or soft. And people say, what? Speak up. Or I come off mumbly and unclear. But in my mind, I'm clear. My heart, I thought I was clear. But because I wasn't really, yes, I was aware, but I was ignoring and not choosing to take that moment to go inside, assess my energy, my throat chakra, along with the other chakras, to kind of clear away my gardening. The message I wanted to share yesterday, it wasn't like I kept on hearing that I wasn't really connecting to my heart, and I wanted to share this. It wasn't until I was gardening and cutting weeds. And weeds, by the definition, of something that's not meant to be there. It's something's out of place. It was a beautiful bush. It had nice flowers, but it was really thorny and it was very dangerous. I cut it down. I got the message because not too long afterwards, like a week later, it started sprouting again. It's like, oh, okay. It's not something you could do just once, whether it's this chakra cleanse or any other healing modality you choose to kind of help align your energy, align your chakra, align your mind, body, and emotion. But really, as you clearly communicate with yourself through your chakras, through your mind, aligning with who you are, it's a daily practice, moment by moment. You take a deep breath to help you expand. As you take a deep breath to help you clear. And it wasn't until then, cutting down the bush, one branch at a time, pricking myself all over, that I can't just be doing this once. If I want to be a more effective, clear communicator, to be more effective for myself and more effective for my clients when I have very deep and powerful messages that they must receive. For a while, my lovely wife, my soulmate, I was using her as a crutch, as my translator, as my family would say. We'd joke around about it, and it was funny for, I guess, a good year. But she got real with me, and she came out really clear. And it wasn't until I kept on pricking myself, clearing that bush, the weeds in the backyard, that, no, I got to do this for myself. How do I expect others to do it for themselves if I haven't done it for myself? So I'm very grateful I was able to find her. And she's providing that safe space, allowing me to be me, not forcing me, but she would question me. And the questions will come in so clearly, not to think of what I got to change externally around me, what I have to go inside and adjust my mindset, my heart set, and take action so that I may come off clear, not just to others, but to myself.
And so with that, I want to introduce our next guest speaker, Dr. Pauline Crawford. I've had the privilege to meet her through Patty, and we have had many magical conversations. As you can see, she's the ambassador of magical conversations. And so without further ado, I just really want to pass it to you, Pauline, because I know what you're about to say is going to really contribute to the throat chakra.
Thank you, Rebecca. I don't know whether I'm on the main screen, because on my screen I can't see myself. So I'm assuming that you've got the yes. That sorted out. Is that right?
Yes.
Can I change this to there? Okay, so I've changed it to speaker view, but I'm not sure that I'm on the main screen. You're still on my main screen. I'm not on the main screen. I'm on a little one up there, but maybe that's what I'm meant to be. Everything is meant to be. So the idea about magical conversations, I actually feel that I've had magical conversations all my life, but it became a reality as I grew my own ability to communicate my message. And this was in the last 20 years. And I was just naturally drawn to have conversations which I considered to be flowing. So I want to think about communication as a flow. And it's really a dance. So getting to know ourselves, and I really honor JB with his showing of how he entered into that truth about himself and started to flow. But it's about how do we flow with ourselves and with other people. I love circles and I love dancing. And I believe it's all about dancing to the tune that's currently in your world and currently in our world. So those are two different things. There's a song for the world, and there's a song for you. And that's, I believe, the communication that we're talking about. I hope you all agree with that. So a dance for humanity is actually a cycle, and you can see behind me that there's this cycle. And I want to share this with you because for me, a magical conversation is without judgment, anger or coercion. And if we test ourselves in the world today, we see a lot of judgment, a lot of anger, and a lot of coercion, people controlling other people. So what do we do in our own life is to free ourselves. And so it's about honest emotions. It's about understanding that we've had amazing lives, some good things, some not so good things, but an amazing life because we're human beings. And therefore we can bring our knowledge and our experience together, but we can also use our imagination. We can transform our world through our imagination. So for me, it's about sharing our vision and our willingness to be part of whatever is going to happen in the world. So we don't know what's going to happen next. It's all up to us. It's the unknown. And I for well, I'm really, really happy with that. But I know a lot of people aren't. So I want to share what is sneakily behind me here, what I call a value creation cycle. And it came to me at a very transformational period of my life. I was actually parting from my husband of 30 years. And I just realized that it wasn't the right place for me. We had always been friends. We met at university and we had two amazing kids, but there were lots of things not going right between us. There was a lack of communication. He liked to drink a lot. So there's another whole story, but there's always two sides to everything. So for me, it was a breakdown in this cycle. And at the time I went to a program, as often happens, you go to some place, you're in an environment and something hits you. And it was all about value creation and the idea that value could only start with me. And I knew this before that, but somehow it resonated that day. And it was a very Buddhist principle. The guy who was running the session was a Buddhist, and he was talking about the idea that only we can create value and therefore create value for other people and therefore create value for our world. But as we flow that communication, it's always going to be different. So I need to know myself. So the green arrow is me, and you see a little figure up there. And the me is everything I know about myself, where I've come from, what I'm doing here, my British background, my travels around the world, my meeting my second husband, my time in Malaysia, all sorts of things. All that is about me. But essentially, it's about who I was when I was born. I was in the middle of a family of four, and I was always a chatterer, and I always loved communicating. But I wasn't always feeling that I was heard. There was always many people around, uncles and aunts and big family. But I always loved to be there. So I kept on communicating, and I found my strength was in connecting people. So that's what I did. But the value creation cycle taught me to be more inside me, to understand that my energy was within me. And whatever I sent out to the next arrow, the blue one, which is communication, it's relationships, was up to me. And I'm still working on that journey. I don't believe it ever stops until you die, and then presumably goes on in whatever world we go to next. So I'm always learning about this part there. So all these figures that you see here, these are all the relationships of my life, past, present, and future. And the red arrow is where most people in the world are stuck at the moment, because it's the collective. It's how do I influence my relationships in order to create the collective, and then come back into my value. And I sense that you all know this, but the idea today with the throat chakra is how do we communicate all of the time in that cycle? And a story I want to share with you, because it feels appropriate, is actually where you don't always need to communicate, but you also need to believe in it. At the time my daughter was getting married, my husband and I had parted company, and she was feeling a bit anxious about her father. We were still kind of friends, but he was in not a good place. And she really didn't want him to walk her down the aisle. So I said, but this is part of what getting married is in this traditional world. And I said, you've got she understood this value creation cycle, and she was desperate for him to be in her value creation. I said, no, he's in his value creation. He's doing what he must do in the cycle of intention that he is in his life right now. And as she saw that, her cycle was here and his cycle was there, she recognized that she needed just to change her attitude to her communication with him. And that's all she did. And in 6 weeks, she found a better place with him and hadn't said anything specifically, just believed in him and herself, and her communication was just that much more flowing. He walked her down the aisle, and as he went round back through to the entrance to the chapel, he turned to her and said, I really love you. And he'd not said that for months, maybe years. And for me, that was the thing about communication. It is the words we say, but it's also the environment that we create in our own energy. So if we could always believe in a magical conversation that has no judgment, no anger, no coercion, on the upside of that, it means being honest with our emotions, making sure that we bring our experience, but we don't push it down somebody else's throat. It's my experience. And so one says, oh, no, you're wrong. You say, well, it's my experience. So, that's your experience. And to learn to really understand that we're flowing in this cycle. Because at the moment, the red one, which is our world, your individual worlds and our big world, maybe America for you, might be the world, might be Britain for me, whatever it is, might be my family, might be business, whatever that red one is, it all comes down to me and how I communicate through that blue throat chakra. And what's interesting is that I have an underactive thyroid. So potentially this for 20 years, I've been taking thyroxine. I also have a problem with my ears and wear hearing aids. So I think probably, I probably need a lot of help actually. But whenever I'm in a magical conversation, what I talk about is real synergy. So synergy, I just did 2 conferences, one in Europe and one in Kuala Lumpur, and I never left this room. So, we can spread messages everywhere in the world now. This is the bonus of COVID. But the word synergy really resonated, much more than equality. One gentleman who was in my session stood up and he said, oh, I'm so happy to listen to this. We were talking about real synergy and magical conversations and gender dynamic intelligence. He said, it's so refreshing not to be talking about equality because it always makes me feel bad as a man that maybe I've done something wrong. Actually, synergy is a coming together. So I think communication is a coming together. And whether it's communicating with our child who's having a tantrum or some negative influence that's passing us on the street or something we see somewhere else, it's our responsibility to evaluate the situation and create that magic. It doesn't mean to say we have to agree with everything or be put down or we need to make points. We can be, I say no anger. We can definitely be passionate and we can be full of our experiences and really be conscious that we're transitioning, as you were saying, Rebecca, we're transitioning into something which is of a much higher consciousness level, which doesn't need polar opposites. It doesn't need right or wrong. It needs, let's create our future together. So in setting the intention to create our future together, I want this value creation cycle. I see it like a kind of, did you ever go swimming as a kid and put a rubber ring around you so that you could float? And you went out in the sea and the rubber ring held you. This for me is my rubber ring. So if something goes wrong, let's take that, where there's a challenge or a block, I go, okay, I'm in my cycle. What is my responsibility? What is it I'm saying or not saying? How can I manage it? How can I attempt to make it right? Can I step away from it and come back again? And maybe it has to be left. But whatever it is my responsibility. And so this value cycle, I love the word value as well as values, but value in this cycle, I value creation. I also value each one of you. And also I value our differences. And I bless the fact that we're not all equal and not all the same, because that is the beauty and the magic of the mix that creates whatever we're going to create in the future. And one of the things I just open it to questions at is, we need to listen to the music that's going on in our environment. Have you ever watched somebody trying to dance against the rhythm of a song? And it's just so annoying, you know. And I remember one time I actually flew out to Tenerife from England to go to a dance weekend. And we're on this five-a-side pitch with the ocean ahead and this guy with the mic on, and we're all dancing. There was 100 people on this going through some steps, and there was one person going the other way. And she didn't seem to notice that she kept on hitting people. And that for me is miscommunication, because it's like there's a flow. And you mentioned the traffic, Rebecca. You know, I still have to check myself. On occasion, when the road is empty to my left, I have to remember that I have to go across the other side of the road and get to turn left, because in my country, we turn with the other side of the road. But I need to go with the traffic. I can't go against it, because I will cause an accident. So I think this is the whole thing, is tuning in, it's real synergy, it's valuing our differences. And the end goal for me is a new narrative. And I don't know what it is. I know the characters. I can help people understand who they are and how they come together with my gender map, different types of men, different types of women. And I have an idea of what I would love it to be, but I'm not fixed on what it is. It's just, it's not toxic, it's not negative, and it's not destructive. It is constructive, and it's glorious, and it's joyful, and everybody is part of it. Nobody is a part of it. They are always part of it. So I'm going to open it to all of you here to ask you how you see your value creation cycle.
Anyone would like to take this moment to ask us questions, ask Pauline some questions, or do some sharing about the throat chakra? Yes.
I'll go. I'm Patty Mays, spiritual guide, holistic business life coach, CEO at Unit of Soul, which is a resource center. And Dr. Pauline Crawford, I'm happy to see you and be with you again this morning.
Absolutely.
And what I want to ask, I was waiting for someone else to say, you know, because I'm usually the one that goes, I'll go, right? And I was holding back, but something that Rebecca mentioned the other day that really moved her and touched her was something that Michael Post, who is on the call here this morning with Alice, his dear wife, about responsibility. And that keeps coming back to me because that's, as you know, we know each other pretty well. And you know that I love responsibility, right? It's like, take responsibility for what you're saying, not saying, whatever it is. And so when Rebecca broke it down the other day from her experience with Michael, you know, the ability to be responsible. And so as I was listening to you, Pauline, it came to me that, okay, how do we, you know, in valuing myself, which I do very well, and then I value you in the blue, right? And then the we, all of us here. What kept coming up was, how does one get to the ability piece? So yes, the ability to respond is responsibility. And so what would you say in that part to get someone to see that, the ability part of it?
I think it's, you know, it's teaching yourself, and if you like, once you get to know yourself, recognizing that fundamentally everybody else is different, it means that there may be some similarities in them. So you and I are female, that's a similarity. We're not exactly the same age, that's a you know, there's lots of things, and it's finding common ground. But always to understand that if there's 3 people in the room, there's 3 perspectives. If there's 100 people in the room, there's 100 perspectives. It's like, take responsibility for practicing what might be different. because we in a way know what we're similar at. We're all human beings. We all breathe and etc. I think I remember classes where I set out an exercise and find out what connects you, and you get blank faces in the room about taking responsibility for that. So what I do, and this is a simple way to do it, is say, pick a common topic. So you're not common people, you're all uncommon people, you're all unique people, but there are common topics. So it might be, it could be healing, it could be going on holiday, it could be anything. But once you start talking about a common topic and you share your differences to that common topic, you take responsibility for finding a story between you, it becomes easier to understand differences. So the responsibility when it becomes challenging is usually when there's difficulties. That's when we get into a mess. You know, when there's difficulties around, it's like, oh, you know, who's responsible to, well, I'm responsible for sorting out. So it's understanding the I, you, we. And I always say, you know, we have a world where we used to be, well, we still are a lot. People are polarized. I think this, you didn't do that. There's no we. I feel that this is how I see the world. I would love to know your point of view, and together we can find something together. So it's a different tonality, and that's the ability. I'm always owning myself, not in ego, but owning, valuing you to know we. Does that answer your question?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I thought you could see me. I just said thank you.
Oh, thank you. I can see you all on the screen now. I found the button.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I was, you know, just listening to what you were saying and listening. It's been triggering memories. How when I was a young girl, I was very the polar opposite. I would never speak like this to any, you know, in public, or I was just very, very, very quiet, very shy, observant, but very shy. And so I remember as I slowly started finding my voice, I remember a couple of people saying, I like what you say, or it's interesting how you talk, or, you know, and I found it interesting because in my own mind, it was just like, I didn't find it interesting. And I just thought it was just interesting to be, I'm just reading the notes on the bottom. That I found that interesting. How
Well, I think, and one of the things I like to, to say to that, Rebecca, is when we are kids, it all depends on that environment. You know, the old statement, children should be seen and not heard. I never understood that. But, you know, it's like, one of the things that happened for me that I had to come over was that whether I'm dyslexic or not, but I'm a really bad speller. And also I don't pronounce some words in the right way. And I used to be laughed at for pronouncing words in the wrong way. And I would hide my embarrassment by saying, oh, it doesn't really matter. But actually inside I was crying. But I learned as I got into my adult 30s, 40s, that actually that's just me. And I've had some real classic boo-boos, spelling things wrong, even on a flip chart. But if I do, I just go now, I can't do that. And I remember one time I was asking a class about how great something felt. And they said, it felt like euphoria. And I just went, oh, that's great. I have no idea how you spell that. And I think this is the thing about being honest. You know, if we can bring honesty into feedback, especially in the classroom and in the family home, is like, instead of saying to anybody, oh, don't be so stupid, that's a really bad piece of communication. It's to say, oh, you know, let's explore what's just happened there. You know, is it something you need to know about spelling? Would you like to? There's all sorts of conversations we can have to stop critical, harsh critic. I think that's what is wrong when we're little, because we're learning and we don't want to be critiqued, but we do want to learn.
Yes. I like
Yes.
what Mary said in the chat box. Children need to be seen and not heard means parents want to watch them but don't want to hear them say quietly. And it's true. I agree with you, Marilyn. That was my household. It was just like, go to your closet and go play and leave me alone, you
Yes.
know. And I'm thankful that I'm not that way with my daughter. It's like if she wants to roar, I let her roar. Um, sometimes she'll throw a tantrum, and instead of me judging her like, why are you doing this and what's wrong with you, it's like, where's this coming from?
Yes.
You know, why are you feeling this way? And it's like, and she goes, well, I feel mad. And I'm like, yes, but why? And so, and I just like very calmly, and then I let her just express why she's mad. And then I'll just sit there and listen, and I'll be like, I kind of understand, but at the same time, I don't. And so is it really, I'm sorry,
Well, I was going to say, one of the key words in there, Rebecca, is listening. And that's the thing, is we
Yeah.
tend to think communication is always going out, but actually it's silent communication when you're listening, because you're absorbing. And, also our face can tell a story. And often women are very open with that's not to be critical about men, but men are often less seen to be emotional in their face, and women, they can't give it away. We're going, oh, I'm fine, and actually you can tell that we're not fine. But sometimes other people don't read it right. And I think for me the key is honesty. And what does honesty mean? Because being honest with yourself as well is, it can be challenging, because sometimes we don't want to hurt somebody else by saying something, but we also need to say it. Sometimes I say to people, do I have your permission to make an observation about what I'm seeing here? And then sharing something without judging, and say, is there a possibility that this could be something, like I did with my daughter? I wanted her to be fine and happy on her wedding day. And that was my intention. So anything that could help, rather than saying, oh no, your father's awful, don't be bothered, I'll take you down the aisle, which I could have wanted to do, but I didn't, because I knew it wasn't the best intention for the two of them. So I think that's where it's important to check. And I just want to share a story. It was a gentleman I was talking to on one of my calls, and he said, he works in a school with autism, and he said, at the end of the day, I always check all the conversations in my mind that I've had. And in the morning, when I meet other teachers or whatever, I always say, oh, that conversation yesterday, was it clear? Was it good? And if they say, oh yeah, it was fine. But if they say, well, no, actually, he can then review it. So it's taking that time to actually maybe just check in.
Okay.
Not just because you think it wasn't, but just to do it as a daily habit.
I would like to say something real briefly. First of all, we are Alice and Michael. We are the founders of Samadhi Sea of Wisdom Meditation Online School. We serve locally here, and thanks to what you were saying, is we serve all over the world through the medium of Zoom and Facebook and Instagram and all these different things. So one thing I wanted to share is, I love your transparency, because that is powerful. The thing that you were saying, because even as a coach or a facilitator or teacher, whatever you want to call that, is that we haven't hit the pinnacle. And so many people think that because we call ourselves coaches, is we're experts. We're experts at ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're just helping people become experts at themselves. So for you to show up like that, I see it time and time again, where, in all honesty, people want to worship us and people want to say, oh my gosh, you guys are so amazing. We're like, no, you are. That's why you're coming to us, because you're awakening the majestic, the magic, the brilliance in you. So anyways, without going too much into that, but that is important. I just wanted to share how important that is, because that is the communication opener. Because when people think they're an exception, they think that somebody else is entitled and they're not, So thank you for that, because that is incredible that you shared that. And
elaborate,
in-
if you don't mind,
Mhm.
because when he's saying that you were vulnerable in what you shared about the thyroid and the hearing, so some people might think she's in communication, but she has issues with hearing, thyroid, right? So you would think that that's something that would
Yes.
stop you from doing it, but on the
Yes, that's
contrary,
even more powerful.
if you are doing it with those supposedly setbacks, then anybody can do it. And
Yes.
that's what really touched me, because I've had thyroid issues for a long time, and I've been able to take care of that, but it did its effect at its moment. It was something that really, altered my life for a while.
And the reason why I was sharing that is because people are waiting to get there to help somebody else or to be qualified or whatever, right? But it's like your story's powerful, and
Thank you.
I
I
love
appreciate
you sharing.
that.
So I just want to touch on that. The second part that I want to touch on is that I love that you put me in there, because so many people forget me. And if you don't know yourself, how can you even think that you can effectively communicate? Because you're communicating from a part that you think that is somebody else.
Yeah.
So when you get to know yourself and you get sensitive to this intelligence inside of you, it's really as simple, coming from our experiences. When you know yourself, it's like we're all interconnected. We're all one.
Yes.
So when you get to know yourself, you get to know others, because you become sensitive to that part of you in them and that part of them in you. And I just love that you touched those 3 points, because those 3 points, it's
Yeah.
steps to really get, because most people want to get there without going through. Well, when I say there, let me effectively communicate that. Most people want to get to save the world without or help the world or whatever. And I believe, Dr. Pauline, that that's where our leaders have fallen short. So we listen to
yes.
leaders that haven't even done that introspective work, but yet we're listening to people that are just, go to university, they're credited to say they could help people, but yet they're confusing the heck out of people, because they're not living by example on how to trust yourself, number one, and how to lead from yourself. So that
Absolutely.
being said, I just want to honor you for the work that you're doing, for the
Thank you.
steps that you're simplifying it for so many people. And I just love everything that you spoke about. And that's what communication is. It's basically taking
Thank you.
the time to listen to yourself, because if you don't listen to yourself, you're always going to listen to everybody else, base that information on everybody else, and questioning everything is the number one form of intelligence. And I love that you covered, because no judgment is sitting in that state of the observer.
Absolutely.
Love that.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to take the time now to do our Ho'oponopono mantra. So this is all, takes a couple of deep breaths. And JB, you want to lead the way now that you have a voice?
Yes. Yesterday I lost it. Apparently, it's technical difficulties. All right. Thank you, everyone. As you take a nice, long, deep breath. If you like to unmute yourself to interact, that's fine. If you want to keep it private, you can keep it muted. I love you.
I love you.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
I am sorry.
I am sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I release you.
I release you.
I accept you.
I accept you.
Nice deep breath. Want to thank all of those who joined us on Facebook. We're about to stop the recording now. And of course, you can always join us live. We're going to have a private little session For those who can stay, are welcome. For those who have other obligations, you're more than welcome to go. So thank you everyone for joining us now. Till next time, we'll see you tomorrow. Oh, quick announcement. We did add
recording. Yes, so I just wanted to, start letting everyone know before we stop recording is, I don't know if you guys noticed that I added another, from the day 7, I added a day 8, and it's not a platform this way. I was yesterday, as I was fixing my bowls, all my bowls were like talking to me yesterday. And they all said, we all want to sing together at the end. They wanted an encore. And so day 8 is just a simple small from 7:30 to 8. And we're just going to sit here and breathe in silence. There will be no engagement. And I'm just going to go through all the bowls and give everyone a nice healing session, starting from the root, ending with the chakra. And at the end, I will be announcing, because I've already received the message about what's for November 1st through the 7th. So I will be making the announcement. And if anyone is interested in becoming a guest speaker for that, you're more than welcome to message me once I share the topic on that day. Okay? So I just wanted to start relaying that message to everyone. Okay. Get away.
So next time, see you later, Facebook.